Everyone, welcome to episode 18 of the After Zero podcast. And we got a couple crazy topics to talk about today, but before we get there, how are the boys feeling?
Oh, it's good to not be sick anymore. So that's cool.
Very full.
Yeah, Sean had to miss our last podcast to do shit. Wow,
I was that's not why I missed it.
He was causing
Nice
all
Nice try.
I spent all my energy playing
I was
WoW.
dying.
Sorry, Allegedly.
Yeah, feeling good. We had a good raid this week. I'm actually pretty happy with it.
The fact we one-shotted Raz was...
Yeah,
and also, even our heroic fights were really well.
Oh,
went really well.
Y'all ain't ready for next week.
Oh, yeah, Nick's got a new build he's working with.
Nick, I don't even want to hear it. I just want to see it, all right?
Bet.
I was like, ain't no way Nick's losing to a new WoW player right now.
I can attest to it. It was pretty dope last night. So
Yeah,
I did make the plus
one
too.
Actually, Jared, about that too, I had the wrong runes for the first
I told him about that.
This fucking guy, man. He just never has the right shit on. He's just like, what if I play and just my arms are tied by
What if I just handicap myself all the time?
It's fucking wild.
It's actually just my brain, you know?
Oh, hey, Nick, is that Stormy Night?
It is Stormy Night, yes.
Oh, because it's a stormtrooper.
Oh, that's the aim that his DK has.
Stormy Daniels?
Okay. All right. Let's get back on track here.
All right, what we got, bro?
So one of the first things is that do you guys want to start with one or two? Pick a number.
One.
One. Open number one, and we have Atrioc.
Of course.
So
I'm just chopped liver, I guess.
Yeah, right. He didn't give a fuck. Nick.
They both said one.
I said
Nick said two.
Well, if they both said one and you said two.
Oh, I didn't say any. So.
Oh, well, I said one. Get fucked.
There it is.
All right. So anyway, Atrioc was in the news recently. I don't know if you guys all heard about this, but he was caught watching what is it called? Deepfake porn.
Deepfake porn.
Of like Pokimane and Maya Higa, who are like big streamers who are essentially colleagues of his. I don't know how much he interacts with them like personally, but it caused I
think they're like friends
debate. So I know that friend of friend he's in there, but I don't know.
He's best friends with Ludwig, right? Like that's,
yeah.
He just did a partnership thing with Ludwig and his company.
Yeah, the company Off Brand, where they're trying to like build streaming events and shit like that, which he did step down from. But essentially, he was caught looking at deepfake porn. This is something that's been getting better and better, but not in a good way. You get what I mean? Like,
yeah.
When you say better, it just means like more negative. Because the better we're referring to
is more advanced.
Is AI just getting better at replicating women's faces onto
replicating people into situations and scenes that they're not present in.
Right. So basically just taking their faces, throwing it on people and watching them get fucked. It's it's very strange to me.
In two different ways watching them get fucked.
I could get the appeal of like some guys' fantasies of it, right? Or not even just guys, women as well, but a fantasy of everything. I know Moist Critical even talked about he has deep fake porn on him as well. So it's not it's
what's the link for him? I want to make sure
we're gonna put it down below, you know. we're gonna include all the links for the deep fake porn for sure. No, but in all seriousness, it was just wild because as a streamer, it's like, why do you have porn on your computer to begin with? It's like having hacks, but way worse.
Well, yeah, it's like why was that tab just like in the background of your stream? Like that's very weird that you didn't close that out before streaming. Like turning on your stream or anything.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Or you just in the background, like, you know, during an ad break or something, just looking over.
He was doing the Asmund Gold challenge where you try to jerk off
that's what
without
it
getting caught.
Oh my god!
But also, did you guys see the apology video?
Yeah, it was. He's only sorry because he got caught. Let's be real.
I don't think that's true, though. I don't think that's true. You can regret your actions regardless.
I mean,
like
that's a bad take. Come on.
You think?
I don't think it's a bad take.
I think it's fucking, post nut clarity just without the nut.
You don't know for sure if there was a nut or not.
I mean, right.
True.
You don't know that for sure.
But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, you can have
the realization didn't hit him till like it came out. I was like, oh shit, this is bad.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm getting at. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like you don't feel bad or you don't have remorse. You could be doing actions that you hate yourself for and be stuck doing them, right? So I don't think that's fair to say, but I get what you're saying. Like there would have never been anything about it. Like he wouldn't have told on himself, you know?
No,
I honestly I lean more towards like Nick and Sean here because like after watching his apology video, it was also very weird that his like just him and his wife just sitting there crying and stuff, and just the way he was talking about it, of how he like came across his ad and he got morbidly curious with it, so he clicked on all this stuff, and it's like, but this side has also now come up that like you have to pay for these things to happen.
Yeah, like pay for these curious to pay for it.
He sought that out.
So it's just like, well, you went out of your way and like literally paid for these things.
Here's the thing.
So
I don't
like
think
I lean more towards that side of it.
I don't think it was a large embellishment. I think that it was most likely something that people said on Twitter. Oh, here's the link. He clicked the link. He paid for it, right? And I think it is like morbid curiosity because it's like, wow, I wonder what that looks like. But I feel like those are like closed door thoughts, and also you have like a phone, and there's like way different ways. If
and
you're
also
that
like
curious,
you don't
can
just
make it
keep
happen.
that tab open on your computer.
And that's the thing, right? Like, do your.
Like,
I mean, that's not the issue.
Why you got that pulled
up
on the fucking stream?
I mean, like, I feel like everyone has that morbid curiosity at times about certain things where you're like, I'm really curious what that is. But then you also have that little voice inside your head that's like, you probably shouldn't look at that. You know what I mean? Or you probably shouldn't do X, Y, or Z. But then sometimes you're like, oh God, oh no. And then you're like, you know, you have that terrible moment where you're like, I hope I never saw that.
2 girls, 1 cup.
Look, I've seen the deepfakes of Nick, so...
No, those I actually have in my collection, and I just scroll through those.
Right.
I created those, so I mean.
Right. Then I created you. So
I created myself.
I'm my own boss.
No, but
nobody can be my boss.
No, I get what you're saying, because it's like that whole, internet culture from way back when of like the whole, 2 girls, 1 cup, or like the, kids
fried
in a
rice,
sandbox,
blue waffle,
like all that kind of shit.
Can we backstep for a moment? So one, I've never watched 2 Girls in a Cup ever, but I know like the synopsis is like the girls pooping in the other girl's mouth or something, or in a cup.
Oh, dude, there's like vomiting.
It's just 2 girls and a bunch of shit.
Bro, there's a lot of shit going on there.
Did they enjoy it? Was this like scat porn essentially?
No.
So why were they doing it?
Well, it was definitely scat porn. But
wait, they didn't enjoy it. How were they able to like go?
That's what I'm saying. How do you keep doing it?
There was a lot of vomiting.
Because I also never watched the video, so
don't.
So I saw in all fairness, I saw this thing of this girl talking about like guy fingered a girl's butthole, poop on her finger, and she licked it off. So I don't know. Maybe it was on Twitter. She said it. She was like, yeah, I did that. So I feel like some people maybe they can like push through that, but I feel like I have a hard block in my brain. It's like I get poop on my finger if I like push through the toilet paper because it's 1 ply, and I'm freaking out. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's like in Monsters Inc. when they get like the little kid garment on them, and they bring in the people. That's how I feel internally. If like I get the finger through the toilet paper thing, So I don't know. But what I was gonna ask you was, what is Kids in a Sandbox or something? What is that?
I don't remember exactly what it is. I think that one is.
That sounds like a homemade video from Nick.
If I remember correctly, like this girl is like taking a dildo and like shoving it down the dude's like dick hole. Yeah.
Nick,
how did we get here? Like,
dude,
how did we get to this topic?
I just want to know where the internet.
People talked about it at school.
The morbid curiosity.
No. Hold on.
Curiosity.
Hold on.
You know what I mean?
This is like completely different because we're like talking about stuff everyone knows. Nick's out here talking about stuff I think is like home video. Like this sounds like VHS tapes in his home.
It sounds like some Pain Olympic shit.
Right. Like
I don't know if y'all remember those days.
The guy that died because he tried to sit on the jar.
No. We don't
See,
talk
Sean knows what I'm talking about.
I feel like I've never heard about these things, so I don't know how much is internet culture or like Las Vegas weird kid culture.
It might have been Las Vegas weird kid culture.
This is a Las Vegas isolated incident. I feel like this isn't a.
Like I'm just glad I never saw any of these because I don't need to. So
yeah,
but I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, let's bring it back for a moment. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on it? Because I know that the biggest thing is a big push from like it is an invasion of privacy, of consent, things of that nature. I think my biggest thing with it is like, how do you stop
I don't know how you stop it.
Yeah.
That's
what
I don't
I'm
agree
with it.
It
is 100% an invasion of privacy and consent, but how do you possibly go about stopping it? Thoughts on that?
I mean, I think the unfortunate truth is like it has to be done at a government level. Because I think from what I saw, there's a few states already that like have that market as like revenge porn and treat it as such in that same way.
So that's what
So
it
I
was
feel like
reminding me of, was like
so I
the
feel like
revenge
that's
porn
the only way
era.
to like you can really enforce it otherwise.
Because
I
I
mean, we
remember,
also had
because,
this
I
talk
mean-
before about like the freedom of the internet and how do you regulate it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like when it comes to things like this is like you said, the invasion of privacy and the consent. Like it is a fake body and stuff like that. But these, as we talked about, with more advanced technology, like this stuff looks real, and there's a lot of people that are going to believe it.
That
And this
like,
could definitely impact people's lives that are affected by it.
it's like using somebody's likeness, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe that's a way you could go about it, is like you can't use people's likeness for certain things, right? Like obviously porn should be I think,
it's
included in that.
It's like it's like where NIL and revenge porn meet in the middle almost.
Yeah. Like I think that's probably the route that
and like the artist is obviously like profiting off of their faces.
Right. I mean, so how do you take that from different areas of the world though and stop it, right? Like if it's not considered revenge porn in another country, how do you enforce that? How would you go about doing that?
I feel like I feel like it's almost non-enforceable in a way. Like it's very difficult to enforce because it's hard to get, like we talked about last week, it's hard to get
I will say it's very similar to that conversation
onto countries who just don't agree with that thing. Like it may just not be viewed as that. It's like, well, it's fake, and it's like, sure, it is fake, but how do you know it's fake? And that's kind of where the argument goes, right? And that's one of the major things that streamers talk about is, it's hard because none of us have that issue, right? I don't think any of us have any like AI
except for
porn.
Nick.
Except for Nick.
Yes, I do.
But
it's out there.
It's hard for us to speak on in a way where it's like, yeah, I know what that feels like, because I don't even know what that would even be. Like, what is that equivalent of? Your mom looking at your nudes? I don't know.
I think I would actually laugh if somebody did that. Like,
but like,
if I saw my face
though?
Superimposed on there, I'd be like, oh my god, it's me.
But what if it's like OG Mudbone though? You remember that when you were in high school?
No,
Maybe that was an Alabama thing. There's like some porn star with like a 14-inch dick.
Oh,
I don't even know them. So
they superimpose me on there.
That's what I'm saying. Sean's doing the fucking plank challenge, but like on his. No, but I mean, in all seriousness, I just don't see how it's enforceable. I get the uproar about it, and I get it, and I get where streamers are like campaigning against it, but
once again, I don't think you can stop it.
Did you see that the creator actually came forward too and talked about how disgusted he is with himself and all this, and like he took his stuff down and
I
all
didn't
that?
see any of that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest. That's where I'm like, you know what I said previously, where I was like, I feel like you could do things. I feel like he was to the point where you've done it to like every major woman streamer. Were you really disgusted with yourself? I don't know.
Maybe like we said, the realization finally hit him once he like came forward, right? And how they actually felt about it. Yeah,
clarity.
He saw the reaction of like Pokimane and what's her name, Maya, and was like, "Oh shit!"
Genuinely bad about it.
I disagree. I think he's saving face to not get sued. To be honest, like
I wouldn't.
I mean, they are going after like creators, or not the creators of the like
Yeah, I know. Ludwig's girlfriend, her name's Cutie Cinderella.
Like pressing charges essentially.
She was talking about like she's definitely gonna press charges regardless of if it was like taken off the website or not. So I just think this
like
is
against the website or homeboy?
Against the person, against the
creator.
Oh, the creator.
I don't know what sort of. I don't know if this is a new.
I don't know what that entails.
You know,
yeah, right.
We'll have to see how that kind of develops. I am interested in it, but another thing I want to talk to you guys about was kind of the weird state that gaming's in. I think gaming's in a good state, but there's a lot of projects that are being scrapped early. So on the list we have Rumbleverse, which came out 6 months ago, Knockout City, which came out 2 years ago, Apex Mobile that came out less than a year ago, maybe, or a year ago,
like 6 months ago, dude. It was like the summer.
I remember you showing me on your phone. Battlefield Mobile, and then the final thing was the single player Titanfall sort of expenditure or what have you is being canceled. So it seems like a lot of these projects, it's almost weird because they seem similar to me in a way. I totally see why. I don't know. It just seems like incomplete games that don't offer anything new to anything.
Well, dude, Apex Mobile had like everybody was praising that game for having new things to do, right? Yeah. Like new game modes, new abilities, like talent trees for your legends and shit, right? But like you're sitting there and taking away a game that you just made, right? That people spent like probably at least
that
2
was within a
years
year
of
too,
development
right?
time.
Apex Mobile was just last year.
Yeah, it was like summertime. That's what I was saying. Like I was playing it over the summer. The thing being that's worrying me with as many titles that just got canceled, right, is that gaming is going away from being this is what these communities like, right, and creating these communities to, well, this is no longer profitable. We're just done with it, right? Like,
well, in all fairness, those IPs have always been that way. If you look at that list,
oh yeah, I mean,
is an EA title who they're
Yep.
money hungry to begin with. Apex
Yep.
Mobile is an EA title, they're money hungry to begin with. There's
Titanfall
another
was
part
also
to
EA.
yeah, Titanfall's EA. Battlefield
Titanfall's
is
EA.
what is that, DICE or whatever?
Yeah.
Who makes
That's-
Battlefield every year?
That's
not
EA too, right?
Oh, is
Yeah.
it? Sure, yeah.
Yeah, because
EA.
DICE
So-
falls under EA.
And then
So-
the other ones, what is that? Galaxy or Obsidian Games? I
Rumbleverse?
forget. Yeah, I forget the name of them. But they're the ones that made like Killer Instinct and stuff like
Right.
that.
I feel like the biggest thing about this, especially with Apex Mobile and Battlefield Mobile, is they have to go up against a titan. There is a titan in the industry going into the mobile FPS space, and you have to
Call of
offer
Duty.
something. Not even Call of Duty. They're not the titan. PUBG Mobile
Who?
is.
Oh, PUBG.
PUBG Mobile owns like that whole market for mobile FPS, and I think the thing about PUBG Mobile is that the pacing of the game matches the like mobile genre. Whereas Apex is a little more twitchy, a little more about movement, and it's a little faster paced. And I don't think it translates over as well as PUBG does. Like some of the most exciting things in Apex is the movement, is like the flow of combat. I don't think that
Right.
translates to a mobile.
Well,
like,
I think that part of the problem with what turned some of the player base off was that you could match into player lobbies on mixed input. So, like, if you were playing touch controls, right, you could be matched against controller players and just get your shit rocked.
God.
And
They
that
really
was,
said, let's develop our own like killer to our
was-
own game. That's crazy.
yeah, and they didn't change it. There was nothing. They changed nothing. So it was just people on touch controls just getting annihilated constantly by people playing controller on mobile. And then
It's very
it got
strange.
worse because people started playing the game on emulators on PC and we're running mouse and key into the controller and touch lobbies. So you just have this crazy spectrum, and then the hacking issue that plagues all games.
Was there a big hacking issue with Apex Mobile?
Yeah. People playing Revenant and like walking through the air, shooting people across the map and shit.
There's also oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Like PUBG hacker days, like Chinese hacker days.
Yeah,
of
original OG PUBG days. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Red Army.
That's just, I don't know. I just feel
the
like
developer is also approaching the cancellations completely different, because on the Rumbleverse side, they're actually, so what they did is they're opening, the next update is unlocking all the items for people. And also, this part's weird, but in the battle pass, you're getting like double XP to expedite your battle pass progress. I don't know why they're just not giving you that stuff. Maybe that has something to do with like the software and their programming, but that's beside the point. But they're like opening up access to all the players to allow them to play everything, and they're also giving players a chance to get their money back for what they spent on Rumbleverse. Whereas on the EA side,
no,
they're saying,
They're
fuck
like,
you,
"Get
you're
fucked."
not getting anything, and also you Apex players, things that you have in Apex that can transition over to the main game, you are not getting.
Yeah.
that's just EAMO, honestly. that is the most
so
EA
bad.
shit you could do. So I'm not shocked by that at all.
Yeah, no, I wasn't either when I saw it. People were like, "Are we gonna get refunds for all the shit that we just bought?" Like, because they just ran an event in the game, like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago.
I feel like, Queercus, you know a lot about this, but I feel like the mobile genre, like even though PUBG is really big, it's not big in America like that. But I feel like the mobile genre that they're trying to tap into doesn't fit the American demographic that they're catering towards. You know what I mean? Like your average like player isn't as interested in mobile games as they are in like the Xbox for those types of games, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I
Like the
feel
hardcore
like
players that we're talking
right,
about.
I feel like Candy Crush and all that shit is more up the alley, or like some sort of game that's you can play in 2 seconds.
The
right?
shitter games.
Yeah,
Shitter
just
games.
the super casual stuff is what sells on mobile, and like women are the biggest consumers of it. They own the biggest market share of that. They spend like what $100 on average or something crazy number like that.
Hardcore gamers honestly don't like spending money.
Yeah, hardcore gamers don't, and they don't play mobile games. So it's
Right.
kind of like they're not really catering towards an audience that's going to support their game. I feel like they didn't do their homework on the demographic that they're even making the game for.
I think that's fair.
So it almost seems like they set themselves up for failure. Even like Diablo Immortal, right? You go to like BlizzCon, there's a reason you got booed. No one gives a fuck. Like no one wants that.
Nobody.
Everybody
Just wanted a
don't
new
have
Diablo game.
And
You guys don't have phones?
Wait, what'd you say, Nick?
I was saying I remember when all that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like no one was like, oh my god, you know what? I really wanted to play on my phone. Diablo. What if they ported Diablo to my phone? It just wasn't a thought. Like,
yeah, it's because it's obvious that you see the mobile market, you see the chunk that it brings into the gaming industry, and it's like you're just trying to get your piece of that, and we can see that.
Yeah, I wonder
it's
how
like
much.
As we said with the hardcore gamers, like some of them will buy into it, but the grand mass won't, because we already have our PCs, we're already playing the games that we want to play in the way that we want to play them, and like you said, the casual gamers, they don't care for playing these hardcore games like that. They're looking for games for the instant gratification and for the fun, not for the competitiveness.
I really wonder how much of this is like big execs making those decisions, especially at like EA. Like EA's what 4 of 5 of those games. Like,
dude, they're like, all right, our game's finally not profitable this month by like $5. End it. Cut it.
cut the cord.
Cut it. We didn't make $5 as much as we did last month, so the game's dead. Player base, who gives a shit? Public image, we don't care. We have a terrible public image. Fuck them.
Yeah, they know that we're money hungry. We don't have to change that. Like, so
yeah, we're money hungry. Just fucking own it. Live that shit.
Just like Sean was talking about too with the competitive games, it's like you also have people that are always trying to get the edge, so they're trying to find ways to emulate the game, to plug in mouse and keyboard to play against these people that are playing with phone controls. All those different ways. It's a shitty environment across the board.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a lack of understanding what the actual, like I said, what the demographic is looking for. I feel like that's pretty common in the gaming sphere anyway. Everyone's trying to get their piece of the pie. They talk about esports being $1 billion industry and all that type of stuff. So everyone's trying to get their piece.
Didn't Wild Rift? It was Wild Rift that canceled their pro scene.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah. So
I actually don't really know much about Wild Rift. So.
They basically shut that shit down. Riot did and was like, nah, we're not gonna be doing that anymore. Like, we're not gonna be supporting
Wild Rift and stuff.
Yeah, they're still supporting it, but as far as the competitive scene for the game goes, it's dead.
That's actually interesting to see coming from Riot because of how like their MO is with their games.
Yep.
Well, I feel like it's a money dump at the same time, because what's to stop me from just watching League of Legends? Like, you already have a product that does something better that's more entertaining. So I almost feel like pushing for competitive in Wild Rift doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if maybe I'm missing something, or there's like something you guys think on that, but I just don't see where you put out a competitor that's not as competitive as your main game.
The only one they're speaking to is what's that other mobile game? The mobile game,
the one that has the green archer bitch on the front.
Yeah, it's a mobile, and it has a competitive scene, which is really big in China and Korea, I want to say.
Well, Vainglory.
Yeah, Vainglory, I think is the one.
Vainglory. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably what they were trying to dip into, and it's like they probably thought that they couldn't compete with that because of where it's at already.
Well,
and also, I don't think that's like a Western thing, like we were talking about. It's a very different culture when it comes to mobile games. Like that.
It is perfect that you bring that up, because this stream is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god!
So I'm out.
Have you guys noticed that?
Honestly, though, if they wanted to, I probably wouldn't hate on it. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
Sure. I just want to say we are.
I've actually played Raid Shadow Legends.
Have you actually? Is it a good game?
I actually have. Yeah.
Honestly, it looks pretty, and I think they have good commercials and trailers for it.
I think they just spend a lot of money on marketing.
They also have a lot of people who just spend a lot of money in the game.
Yeah.
That game is, if you're a premium player in that, like, buying one singular character during an event is like $100.
Wait, what?
I'm not fucking around.
Hold on. You're telling me I've been vilifying Valorant for this long, and Raid Shadow Legends was the real villain?
Yeah.
Damn.
But if they want to sponsor the stream, if they want to sponsor
Ronda Rousey's in the game now.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, that commercial looks so bad. It's so bad.
They put Ninja into Raid Shadow Legends.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he has his own character.
I'm really curious how much money these people are getting paid for this, because they're very large scale commercials. Like, these are like on prime time television that you're seeing Raid Shadow Legends commercials at this point. It's all over YouTube, Twitch, of course. They've been owning that for a while, but I've been seeing it more on, like you said, with Ronda Rousey on just mainstream television. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, good on them, you know?
Oh yeah, I
Oh, yeah,
mean,
definitely.
wish them nothing but success if they're good, but like,
Yeah.
hey, go fuck yourself for $100. So
Yeah,
that's
dude, it's
Yeah.
we'll refer
I
back
don't
to
know
like
about all that.
podcast. We'll refer back to like podcast number 4 when we were talking about predatory pricing in games.
microtransactions.
Yeah, like it
Yeah.
was like episode 4, 5, 6. We've talked about it multiple times. So
But
Yeah.
basically, anytime we talk about Riot and Valorant specifically,
Yeah.
like that probably has come up.
so speaking of Riot, we kind of talked before about, you know, Project L and all that stuff. How do you guys feel about the development of some of their games? Are you guys still as excited as you were when we previously talked about it? Are we still looking
Yeah.
forward to it?
I think I'm
So-
still just as excited because we haven't got information, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm excited for the new League of Legends season, all right? Like I'm excited for pretty much anything that Riot
That's
puts
fair.
out.
Oh, so you
That's
want to
fair.
play Valorant
Riot
as well, Nick?
fanboy over here.
I was excited for Valorant. I just you
It's-
know what? Personal
yeah.
opinions. That's all.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I
So
don't know.
what? Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, do you think it's better for them? You guys remember when like you guys were talking about Halo Infinite, about how there's like a bunch of rumors that it's gonna release, gonna drop. Do you think Phantom releasing is like the best way for Riot to do it since they're such a big like gaming conglomerate at this point? Like I feel like they have that sort of
think so.
power.
I think it depends on what game you're talking about. Like I don't think Phantom releasing their MMO would be a good idea. I
No?
think that'd be a terrible idea.
I don't know. It might rip
But
player
it makes
bases
me-
from everywhere.
I
Like, oh
almost-
shit, Riot's MMOs out? What
So,
the fuck?
The reason why I think it's actually good is because I think of like Valorant, right? Valorant came out at like a tumultuous time period where there was a lot of other shooters to play. Like Warzone was
Yeah.
hot. Warzone was hot. Fortnite was making a resurgence, right? CS:GO is still doing CS:GO things. Apex was still Apex, you know? And I
Yeah.
feel like there was a lot of competition in the gaming sphere, but somehow, some way, they found their way and just dropped Valorant and it just took over. Like I don't know. I think Valorant's the biggest shooter right now, is it not?
Hey,
I
it's just a
still
good game.
think
No,
I still
it's
think
still
Call
CS:GO.
of Duty
It's still
or
CS:GO.
CS:GO. Yeah.
CS:GO still beats it. I mean, nonetheless,
so.
I think that
It's cemented itself as one of the top, FPSs. Though.
yeah,
like,
it's like a premier esport at this point.
Mhm.
I think the biggest thing about it is like with Phantom releasing is you don't give your competition time to respond. Like if they say this MMO project releases in 2024 first month or whatever month, right?
Right.
It gives WoW, it gives Final Fantasy, it gives all SWTOR, all these different
SWTOR.
companies like time to make a move to say why you shouldn't leave them, right?
To retain. Yeah, to
Right.
retain player
And
base.
I feel like when you Phantom release, you just get your competition. You're like, oh hey, surprise, we have a game and it's actually good. And that's the biggest thing about their like Riot is that they will put out a finished product and their stamp is a really good stamp. Like they really
Yeah.
know how to bite off other games that you already like and make them better.
Right.
So I never actually like thought about the whole Phantom release versus non-Phantom release till you just brought it up. But I almost feel like it would be cool to see them Phantom release just because it would almost be like there's right now no information about the games out there right now, correct? So if they were to release it, it's a complete new experience for everyone that they're expecting and that everyone has high hopes for because of it being right. Like you said, they have a good stamp on them. And it also makes me think that they don't really care about their competitors too much, as far as like what you were saying with the giving them time to react.
Like
It's
they know they make
that-
a good product.
Yeah, they know where they are and they have faith in their product, so they're going to release it. And I would also like just to see it, like I was saying, for the whole new aspect of the game, keeping it new. There's no information online for people to dissect, for them to dive into and like know everything about the game already before it even comes out. Especially when it
feel
comes to MMOs, because I feel like that's sometimes a hindrance to a lot of MMOs when they come out.
But I mean, more towards the point of when you release something, I think it is very crucial because at the end of the day, like you think of movie releases and whatnot, like
I have a perfect
like
example of this.
Avatar 2 versus like Puss in Boots 3, right? You'd be like, that's suicide, right? It's suicide. At the end of the day, like Puss in Boots 3 like defined all odds, which actually it's like a really good movie, by the way. Like I
Movie
saw
slap.
watching it.
really, I
10
think
out
it's
of
like
10. Go watch it right now.
I think
Well, I'm
it's a
saying, literally everyone
9.5 out
says
of
that
10.
Death is like one of the best characters ever written.
Yeah. So like
Amazing.
when you release something is important, but just delivering a good product is good as well. I just think when you combine those things, like just
No,
Phantom
I'm
releasing-
not denying the strategy behind it. I'm just saying, like, their spot, I feel like they're just like comfortable and they're like, they know who they are. They know that they swing the big stick. So it's just like, let me put my stuff out there when it's ready.
So I think the prime example of this is Titanfall. Titanfall released.
You'll have to tell me about that history because I really don't know about it.
Titanfall released during a time when a new Battlefield released, a new Call of Duty released, and then Halo 5, or was it Halo 5 or Halo 4, Nick, for Titanfall 1? That was coming out right around the corner. They spent no money on marketing at all, none, and then dropped Titanfall in when those other games were already successful at the time. So literally no marketing mixed with basically releasing at the worst time for your FPS possible. And now everybody looks back on it like, oh, I wish I would have gotten to play Titanfall when it was popular. And you're like, well, yeah, everybody missed out on a great game. Like, it was a good shooter. It is still my favorite shooter.
I think a strong point for them right now too is that fighting games and MMOs are in a desperate spot for players in general.
Mm-hmm.
For them to like want something good to come, so it's like you have nothing but, you know,
air and opportunity.
Good thing. Yeah, complete opportunity there.
It's a perfect time for them to grab a hold of the genres. Like when you think about when they entered the MOBA space, there wasn't really MOBAs, right? There wasn't really a thing. So, but they knew there was a market for it, so they just had a chokehold on it, you know.
Yep.
And MMOs and fighting games are in that lull, like you're talking about, where there's nothing that's grabbing people like that. There's games and there's some fun games. There's games everyone knows, but there hasn't been anything that's been done. Like WoW has been sitting on top for what, 14 years or something like that.
Forever.
And even WoW players are ready to move on.
Literally forever and a day.
I mean, it's really nice that Dragonflight's good, but like you said, WoW players are ready to move on. Everyone's ready for the next MMO. And I know people talk about a dying genre. It's only a dying genre because there hasn't been new stuff. But at the end of the day, the market is still there. The market still exists. So I feel like they just
I feel like it's just looking for a new world to explore.
I was saying, MMO players will literally try every fucking MMO out there. They don't care.
Yeah, as long as you like make an MMO, players will try it. Like every MMO that came out before, that was almost like the problem with them is MMOs don't grow slowly. MMOs have a very small window of time to grab the player. That's almost what's so crazy about a game like Final Fantasy, where it didn't grab people. The game sucked, and they put enough money and time into it to make it good and re-engage people. But
also one of the greatest stories of like a game coming
literally
back.
very lucky to have had that comeback.
The stars aligned.
The balls of what's his name to make that decision of no, we're scrapping this and starting over.
Yeah, like this is not acceptable. We're not doing this.
But it just goes into how
start over.
But at the end of the day, like the MMO genre is very much like that, where every expansion an MMO puts out, they see a large influx of players, and then those players just fall off because there's nothing new, and they all go back to the same old things. So having a new kid on the block that does something really well, I think would be very healthy for the genre. I'm not even gonna lie, I'd even be satisfied with like a fucking WoW 2 at this point, like a new iteration of World of Warcraft that just, I mean, that's never gonna happen like that to me.
Have you seen any of the like some of the leaked internal conversations of like revamping the entire world itself as an expansion? Like kind of like think Cataclysm, but an upgrade.
So honestly, that's kind of what I expected with the trailer for Dragonflight, and just like the whole theme of Dragonflight with restoring the world and like, you know, awakening the world and those different aspects, going back to the primals and the primordials and all those things. I feel like the story is like playing into that because they want like a reset to almost recreate their image.
Yeah.
And like the way they're leading the story towards like the old gods or the void stuff, it allows them to give the reboot that they need. I'm just curious.
You can literally let the old gods win and reset your game.
Right, and it'll allow for newer systems and new ways for them to approach the game. But I mean, speaking of new systems in WoW, how are you guys feeling about the trading post? Is that something you guys are a fan of? What do you guys like?
I dig it.
Dislike?
You know, I dig it.
Checked it out at all, so don't know.
He doesn't have the achievement yet.
You know that I dig the
I think
post.
So far I honestly don't see a downside to it. I think it's a good feature. And get almost like, I know it's like another reason for people to play the game, but it's also another way for people to get things that they usually don't have access to.
So I'm a little unfamiliar with it because I haven't like delved into it too much. But can you guys explain some of the features and how it works?
So essentially, it's your reason to log in every month, right? So you're going to get a currency just for being subbed. And then you have basically like monthly goals, like think a battle pass to earn an extra 500 of that currency every month. The currency carries over from month to month. And essentially, the shop is all cosmetic items, some new, some old, some recolors, just unique things that you can buy with your currency for that month, right? Granted, you can freeze an item in the shop to carry it over if you don't have enough for that month. If there was other things that you wanted to buy and you still wanted that item, but you didn't have enough, you can carry it from month to month that way. So that's cool. But mainly it's just a cosmetic shop and that's it. And there's no real world money involved other than your subscription that you're normally paying.
So when you say
if you want to hold an item, you can hold one item month to month.
Yeah.
Okay, that was going to be what my question is about, holding the one item. Now, so if I want everything in the shop, is it easy for me to get everything in the shop?
So it's kind of built to be like one of those systems where like the things are never, it's not like you remember how everybody in the Fortnite shop was worried about if that item was ever going to come back? It's not like that. So they're building it around things being, rotating through randomly, right? So like if there is still a priority of wanting to get something, but it's not like if you don't get it that month, it's never going to show back up again.
It's not a seasonal item, so to speak, where we're only going to release it one time and then a second unknown time that may never happen.
Right.
And also to answer your question for the current month is like you do not get enough coins to buy every item in the shop right now.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's pretty cool. So
yeah,
it's
and
still
I guess the only other downside I see is it could be like a
point of
an argument for people is like the Celestial Steed, which used to be a shop mount that you buy with real currency, is in the shop, and I have it now because I spent the coins on that.
Yeah, but the price of stuff always changes the value. It's not as bad as the Fell Drake, to be honest.
Like I said, that's an argument people are definitely going to make. I don't really see any other downside. Like people could say this is WoW's, like Sean said, Battle Pass. I don't really see an issue with that.
I like that it gives you challenges like go and kill 25 raid bosses, or resurrect 25 players, or slash hug the NPCs at the trading post.
Yeah, that may be a thing. It's more mechanical, like objectives that aren't like freedom for the player. They're pinpoint, go and do this, which some people see as negatives. That could also be seen that way.
I think it'd be cool to see it develop into something that almost makes more of a community out of the game. You know what I mean?
I think it gives more of a reason to run old content too for transmog.
Oh, okay.
Because you're getting challenges to go and do that stuff, or to go to old zones, or
pretty cool.
Like shit like that. So it gives a reason to do transmog runs.
Gotcha. That's dope.
I can also say my paladin finally has a hood now because of it.
The hood?
Yeah, the new cosmetic items that they're adding
pink
to the shop are
and
cool.
cloak that you saw on me, that's from the trading post.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And it's themed around Valentine's, which is why it's the pink, and there's like different flowers and stuff in the shop. So this is obviously I expected for every season for it to be themed around that season as well when it comes to the trading.
So there is seasonal items then.
Well, no. It's not like that. It's like this month there was a fetid bouquet offhand. There was a corsage for your wrist, right? But like that, it's not like those items are never going to be back in the trading post.
Yeah, they'll be back next year.
Maybe
next Valentine's Day.
We only have 1 month of rotation to see what the items and stuff look like.
So his question though is that like a guarantee? And you answered it like it was a guarantee.
Well, it is a guarantee for the items to return. Yes, they did come out and say that. I'm saying that as far as the time frame as to when items come back, I have no fucking clue.
I do want to say that if it's a random generator, there's not a guarantee it'll come back, because that implies the game's going to go on forever and there'll only be 12 new iterations every year. So I feel like that's a little bit of a stretch and a little misleading, but I still think it's a cool system. Like, it seems like pretty dope. I do like the idea of it being like the SWTOR system where you get like the Hut Cartel coins once a month.
Yeah, and that's essentially what it is.
To buy premium items. I mean, at the end of the day, like, people can complain about it all they want, but you bought a $25 mount in the store. If they discounted it for free, they are the ones who decide the price of the mount, so it doesn't change it. Now, for people who bought like the TSG Feldrake, I get where it losing its value of being something so rare is bad, but when it's accessible to everyone as $25, like the Celestial Steed, I'm like, yeah, it's a store mount. They could discount it at any time, add it to the game at any time they want to. That's the whole thing about buying virtual currency or virtual items. Like,
right.
It's so funny because like I don't care about like rarity for the sake of rarity.
Neither do I.
So it's like when those people talk about this, I really just don't care.
Yeah,
like I don't feel bad for you.
Like I'm the type of person that I get a rare drop and I get a rare item. I'm never selling it. That's mine. Like I'm not the type of person where I know, a lot of people their first instinct is to sell it. I'm like, nah, I'd rather collect it. Like that's cool.
For me,
but would you be upset if they made the item more accessible?
What's that?
Would you be upset if they made the item more accessible?
No, not necessarily.
You're like, it's still a cool item to me. So
yeah, like you know that exclusive Tyrael thing we got, Jared? Like it wouldn't bother me if I saw more people with it or they brought it back.
Listen, I didn't buy it just because it was exclusive. Like part of me was like, okay, if I ever want to sell it, I could, because I know it's exclusive. However, my demonic Tyrael, I love.
Yeah, it's a dope thing. That's always my first thing. That's what I care about.
It's the exclusivity of it for me, to be honest. If more people could buy it, it'd be cool. But at the same time, like, it's also just dope. Like, I like it. Yeah. I like it enough to buy it.
Fan of like keeping things exclusive if you release them as exclusive, right? Like I think that you shouldn't touch that personally.
So in this case, like the Feldrake releasing as an exclusive trading card game mount, it's like
you can only get by opening packs,
right? You need to keep that, but as something that's in like the WoW store where you can just pay $25 at any point in time. Like, that's not exclusive.
If you're just gonna make it free, no, of course not. Like you said, it's exclusive to anybody that has $25.
I think I'm more into the fact of like, I just want cool shit. I don't care how many people have cool shit. I just want cool shit.
Yeah, like to be honest with you, even like the Spectral Tiger mount, I would never get. I just don't think it's a cool mount. It's cool.
Not worth $7,000.
It's cool to see it, right? It's the novelty of the item that's impressive. Like, holy shit, you never see that mount. That's a $7,000 mount, like of real currency. That thing goes for 9,999,000 or whatever in game or some shit, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, the mount's not cool, and I would never get it. If I had a free 7,000 sitting around, I was like Elon rich or something, I still wouldn't want it because I'm just like, it doesn't do anything for me.
I think it would be cooler if I bought boxes of packs of old WoW trading cards and pulled it. I think that I would have more novelty spending $7,000 opening packs of old World of Warcraft trading cards to get it rather than buying someone for the code.
You definitely would because it's just like the tangibleness of it all.
Right.
Being able to hold something
and I got cards out of it.
Yeah. Like, that's what I'm saying. You have both pieces. But going on to the next thing I wanted to kind of bring up to you guys, I don't know. I know we talk a lot about primarily gaming things, but I feel like the Twitch and YouTube ecosystem is ingrained with gaming, Yeah. Did you guys watch the most recent Mr. Beast video?
Yes. Curing blindness.
Okay. Yeah. So essentially he has a video where he goes through and cures 1,000 people's blindness. Because they have
curable blindness.
It's like curable blindness, which is like their lens is cloudy, they have like cataracts or things like that. They replace it with an artificial lens and it fixes their blindness. Normally it's like in one eye or what have you, but
it's like a very, very inexpensive surgery as far as it goes, but the technology and everything, costs money per se, right? But it's a very easy procedure. It takes 10 minutes to do, and goes around
outpatient surgery.
Yeah, and goes and cures all these people's blindness, and people are calling him the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Well, people were shitting on him essentially just because they were like, they put him in like the pit of like, this is another case of like rich people not actually caring about poor people unless they can exploit them.
Oh my God.
Which is like the only reason he cured these people's blindness was because he was able to do it and film them. Which I'm like, I get where that argument comes from, but I didn't see 1,000 people in that video. So plenty of like the strong majority didn't go on camera or at least didn't get put in the video. So
have you seen any of the candid interviews with Mr. Beast? Like when he does like sponsorship deals and stuff, and he's like, we will spend every cent of this money doing this. All the sponsor money that we got from this, none of us are pocketing that. Yeah. We're spending it in the manner in which we're saying it. Like when he did the car dealership one. You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
Where he was giving away free cars to people?
Yeah.
So, like, that's the thing that gets me is that the guy is just doing genuinely good things for people all the fucking time. And then he's getting called the Antichrist and that he's, you know, just money hungry and only doing this shit for views. And it's like, no, he was bringing awareness to a topic, to an issue, right? And then was also doing a generous thing for people.
Well, I mean, it's also he's doing it for views, so he can do this generous thing.
Right.
It's like that's the whole give and take of his videos, which I usually like. I don't really care much for his videos or like that approach of videos. But watching this one, it's cool because he also like he went across the world and did this. It wasn't just like contained in this one area of choice. It's like he was
right.
He did what he could across the world to, you know, help with the curable blindness.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely there because I'm definitely on the side of if it's benefiting people and he's recording it to benefit more people, what's the problem? Which at the end of the day, he didn't do it. Like, let's be real. At the end of the day, it's probably a video he wanted to make. I do think he has a lot of altruism within him. I don't think at the end of the day it was like, well, we're going to record this so we can cure 1,000 more people. I don't see that really being like the main takeaway from it. It's like, this will be a banger video. It's for a good cause. It's a win-win, right? At the end of the day, he is profiting off other people. So I'm curious how you guys feel about that, because I don't think this was a true altruistic act, or it would be positioned differently. And it would be on his channel for Mr. Beast Philanthropy, which is all about him giving back to the community. But instead, it was on his main channel. So I do think that that's again, I think it's good in every way, but I'm just, you know, more of bringing up the side point.
Yeah, like I said, I personally don't like the videos for that exact reason that you just mentioned. But I think it's cool that you can do a good thing with it like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, bring the potential attention to it, because I mean, I don't know the reality of his videos at the end of the day. Right? It's just like I'm trusting in just what I'm watching, and what I'm watching is coming off as something good.
Right.
But I personally don't like look for those videos because there's sometimes that they don't give off the best vibes to me.
I don't know. At the end of the day, I think people care way too much about it, about the topic. Like,
yeah,
the guy went and cured 1,000 people of their blindness. That's it. Like, just end it there. Why does it matter what he's doing it for? If he's doing it for his own personal gain, that's cool. Good for him. Why do we give a shit? He still cured 1,000 people's blindness.
But what if he was Hitler?
Oh my god. Or the Antichrist.
Yeah, what if he is the Antichrist? What if what he was putting inside of them is an implant to control them, and he's recording their entire lives? Okay.
What if?
I just want you to know this is like some of the crazy arguments that people actually make online and on Twitter. And there's this. It's just funny because I find it completely hypocritical. Like, it's like, listen, at the end of the day, 1,000 eye surgeries for Mr. Beast is probably chump change, right? It's still a large portion of money, but for him and how much his companies generate between all of them, between Feastables, Mr. Beast Burger, his merch shop, and just the AdSense on his videos and sponsorship deals, it's a very small dip into the pond. But
and I'm sure he got some sponsorship deals and all that shit too to help
But it is a larger fraction than the majority of people in the world do. Like, that's my biggest thing with this is people
Those are the ones that call him out and like talk shit
people
to
call
him.
it out. It's like, well, what percentage of your income are you donating? Well, it's like, well, I don't have enough to donate. It's like, oh, really? I don't know. You do drink a lot of things you don't have to drink. You have a lot of luxuries in your life. You know what I mean? It's like, sounds like you could afford to a portion, you know?
Either way, he was still doing something good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I still find it as a net positive.
It's not like
that's really what it is at the end of the day. It's like it leans more towards good than bad.
I don't see how it leads to bad at all.
Right.
There's no bad. There's nothing bad with what he did. There's not a single bad thing with what he did.
Like, even if there was a slight monetary gain from it, why does it matter?
Right. That's what I'm getting at. Is like, why is the fact that he profited off of something good that he did bad?
Right.
So when does it become the exploitation of people in need? Like, I guess it's more of where the line is.
I don't think it.
They were in need and got
They got what they needed. Yes, they were in need and got what they needed. You're not. That's a trade.
I don't understand how that's like a deal. Like,
exactly.
shake hands.
It's not exploitive because they're getting something out of it too that they wanted.
You
and
get
it's not
eyesight, and I get paid.
Yeah, like it's, and they're not even the ones having to pay for it.
Right.
That's the thing too. They didn't even pay. It wasn't even really a trade for them.
Yeah. So, like, hypothetically speaking, if you're a homeless guy and you have this sad sob story, right?
Okay.
It's not even a little exploitative to use his story to garner views and things of that nature. You don't think it's?
I mean, people have done that before, but it's not like,
I mean, ultimately, like, does the homeless person have free will? Do I have free will to walk away from that situation?
Right, or to say no?
And say, no, I don't want to be a part of this.
Right.
I mean, sure, but if you were homeless and someone, hold on, no, it's not that. But hold on, no. But if you're homeless, let's say, and you have no other options, you don't have a choice. Your free will, you have free will, yeah. But when you have nothing, your free will doesn't mean anything. You get what I'm saying?
I mean,
that's your prerogative. I disagree with that. If you you're talking about being like exploited, right?
Yeah.
If you come to me, I'm homeless, I'm sitting on the curb, I got my sign up, whatever, and you come to me and say, hey, I'll give you this $10,000. All you have to do is film this video with me, and I'm going to come take you to this barbershop. We're going to get you cleaned up. We're going to do all this stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm going to hand you a briefcase of $10,000, right? How are you exploiting me when I can tell you no?
Well, wouldn't it be exploitative in the same way, like in reverse, right? I'm homeless, right? And I'm going with my sob story that I have, right, to get you to do nice things for me.
Yeah,
I can exploit you in the same way. I don't think
that's good either.
I don't.
Right.
So
exploit you in the same
it's
way.
the same thing. All it does is prove that it's exploitive in both ways. That's all you just did.
It's mutually beneficial.
I understand what you're saying, right? I'm bringing up the point that is being made that at the end of the day, you have people in need and real people who need real solutions to their problems. Now, giving someone 10,000 grand doesn't solve all their problems, and it is a deal. It is a deal, and I understand what you're saying. But what I'm saying is, when does it become exploitative of a person, right? Because at the end of the day, you are just using their raw circumstance and at the end of the day, their pit of sorrow and all that other bullshit to push yourself forward. You're not doing
what it is you have all this information. They have this much information to base their decision on, because they don't know the entirety side of it.
It's not even just that. It's that they don't have a choice. If you were homeless, you would never say no to 10 grand in that fashion, right? And I get that. Like I said, I think it's a net positive. I'm just bringing up the point of it can be negative in certain ways.
It could be seen that way, except I feel like the people that see it that way are just dumb.
I don't see how it's negative in any way whatsoever.
Like, you shouldn't do that. Don't do nice things for people. Ever.
Like I said, I get where you're coming from.
That's really how it sounds. Like, in no way, shape, or form.
How dare you?
Giving me $10,000 in that aspect.
How dare you put on a charity show?
A negative thing. Like, I just don't see where people see this as a negative.
How dare you donate to charity? Fuck you.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but that's not even remotely the same either, Sean. It's not, because it's not donating. Close. It's not donating for charity, because a donation is getting nothing in return, right? Like when you donate something, you get nothing in return. He is financially.
I'm pretty sure you get mentally something in return.
No. What I'm saying is you don't physically and tangibly get something in return in that manner, right? What I'm getting at is this particular circumstance. And like I said, this is not something I agree with, but it is a point. And I think there is a line where it is a problem. There is a line, right? Is this one of those lines? No, because it's a simple transaction of, hey, I will cure your blindness. I would like you to sign this thing in lieu of that. I doubt he even forced everyone to sign that. There's 1,000 people that went through that. I doubt 1,000 people.
But a lot of these people are also just like they're just mad it's not happening to them. There's also those people that are just blowing
people.
up.
People like their handouts, and
well,
I
haters
get that.
are haters.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So let me ask you this then, Jared. Where is that line then? Where do you define that line of, okay, now this isn't altruism, you're just exploiting people?
I think that it more comes from things like, I think of where like reality TV sits in a lot of ways, where like, yeah, you're getting paid to do these fucked up things, but it is exploitive of certain people's like circumstances and things of that nature. Some of those areas I think is where you can start running into that. I'd have to think a little more on it, but I definitely think that the line exists. You get what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, sure, you're getting compensated for something, right?
I mean,
you're getting something out of it, but that doesn't mean that the deal is good and that you weren't taking advantage of someone's circumstance, right? In this case, I don't think that's what's going on.
But basically, it's kind of like why is it just 10,000? Why isn't it more if you're making more off the video?
Right. Like for an example, like let's say I give a homeless guy a home, I give him clothes, I feed him up, all that. It's a net positive for him, right? He has to be on the video. But at the end of the day, you find out that the video is just sponsored.
It's not a net positive to give a homeless guy a home.
Well, hold on.
That's one more house off the market for me.
The housing market's already bad.
It's already bad enough.
But at the end of the day, it's like one of those things of you give that to him, but the actual fair price of it and what was garnered on your end just means you just used somebody to get ahead. You didn't do it out of kindness, and sure, someone got something out of it. That doesn't necessarily mean you didn't exploit them to push yourself forward more. You know what I'm saying? So sure, I give them a house and all that, but if I made $1 million from a brand deal doing it, it's still in a way exploitative of someone. That's all I'm getting at. It's a net positive? Yes. Do they get something in return? Yes. Is it still
I feel like to be like exploited, you almost have to just not agree to it. And then it happens anyway.
Like deepfake porn.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
come full circle with it. Just come full circle with it.
I get what you're getting at. Like in a way, you have to not know that they're getting something.
Nothing in return.
Right.
It's one of those things of if what you're referring to is like, it's like, hey, give this guy the house. They film it, they do it. They're like, all right, get the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
or just walking down the street and all of a sudden I see a homeless dude and I'm like, tell me your story, and I post the video onto YouTube. He gets nothing out of it, right? But I get views and money.
That's where I would argue that's
exploitative.
So let me ask you this. Exactly. So if you gave him $100, is that still exploitative of him?
If I asked him, hey, can I give you $100 to post your story on my channel, and he says yes, then no, I don't think that's exploitative at all.
Right.
He agreed to that.
So
but if I just filmed
if there's monetary gain, that's where it makes it not exploited. Is that
not necessarily monetary, but more so like if you come
if you're getting anything at all, like if you accept the deal at all, then it's no longer exploitative in any sense.
Right.
Exactly.
Because you accepted the terms.
If I'm a homeless guy and the guy comes up to me, he's like, hey man, we want to just kind of talk to you and film your story or whatever, and he talks about it, and he agrees to talk about it, it's not exploitative in any way.
I don't think so.
Necessarily, no.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Interesting. I think I disagree with that notion a little bit. Like it's still taking advantage of somebody at the end of the day, because you're gaining net positive.
Well, like I said, for me, it's like you have this much information because you're the person in power.
Yeah, I'm saying
you're providing this. You're providing this much to them.
I think that's a factor.
This much to them is this.
Right. The factor is power. Like when someone is homeless or someone is in distress, they have no power, so they have no value, right? So when you propose something, even if it's nothing, you hold all the power, you hold all the cards, it is exploitation in a way. That's why I see it that way. Because at the end of the day, you do have power over them. Not power in terms of like they're going to bow down to you and you're their king, but you do have power and influence over them in a way, in socially. You get what I'm saying? That's where I see the difference.
We're just explaining a caste system in general, right?
Yeah.
Like that just comes down to society and the way the society lives.
I don't necessarily think I agree with that notion anyways, like society or societal notion regardless. Like I don't think somebody who's of a higher standing than me has any type of realistic power over me in that sense. Does that make sense?
sure, but I feel like the way you use power there wasn't the same as I was using it, unless I'm just not understanding what you're getting at.
I mean, listen, if I'm a homeless person and you're, some average Joe walking down the street trying to be an influencer, you still have no power over me. You don't.
Right. But I think that also comes down to a mindset, right?
Of course. It does come down to a mindset, but at the end of the day,
I think power and influence is more related to what resources you have available to you in that regard. Like power isn't, like I said, like I'm a lord or lady and I own this land and you're gonna get off of it. But it's more of societal power, and like that like power is not like the linear definition I feel like you use in that scenario. I think that's a different that's different. Like I said, it's not power. Like I said, they're not gonna bow down to you, be like, oh, thank you, great low class individual who's just a little bit above me. Right? Like that's but
I get that. I'm just saying,
I think we just disagree on the definitions.
We're like on the two different sides of it.
Yeah, we're just on different sides of it. I think at the end of the day, we all think it's just a net positive and people are overreacting.
Yeah.
Yes. At the end of the day, we're all like, cool video. Hope you make another one. Good stuff.
This guy's not the Antichrist. That's just like,
this guy also has
cares about people.
He has a philanthropy channel that he does where he just puts all the money back into it. Yeah. And he helps also run that with some of the proceeds of his original channel.
Twitter's full of the biggest haters too. So it's like that when you're reading on Twitter, it's the people that want to be Mr. Beast or want to be a part of his video.
Well, the thing is if we combine all our money and spread it out, if you had 700,000, I'd have 700,000.
I knew we were going there.
Dang it.
It was bound to happen.
Why did we get here?
Wouldn't you want 700,000? Right? There's one last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. I don't know if you guys are aware of this before we kind of wrap up the show here, but did you guys hear about the whole Netflix thing? The new Netflix?
Yes, the non-sharing passwords thing. Yeah.
Logging everybody out of every device after 31 days.
Everyone, guess what? That just means the new generation finds out what torrenting is. Like,
I feel like we're back to the whole thing of like, you can't really stop it. Like, I get Netflix wants to stop it and they want, but like, you can't really stop it.
It's also weird that like, it's the amount of time that has passed where it's become a norm. And now you want to combat the norm.
Well, the thing that I think is funny is they're getting all this negative press from it. So it's like you're already making people turned off even more to your platform of streaming. So it's like, I don't feel like you're doing anything. You're not stopping it from happening. People are still going to find ways around this shit. And
my thing is more in relation.
It's a net negative.
My thing is more in relation to the fact that Netflix started as the platform meant to be shared. Like that was one of the original pitches from Netflix, right? So when Netflix came out,
the norm I was talking about.
It was one of the things of like, hey, cut the cord, because if you're not at your mom's house, you don't get these channels, whereas you get these movies wherever you are. You can share a login, right?
Yep.
Like that was like a primary pitch. Whereas now it's like, oh no, you can't share. I'm really wondering how this affects their numbers and how they proceed forward, but I hope it doesn't affect them, to be honest. Like I'm not out here like, I hope Netflix dies, because I'm like, I would like more things like Arcane, so please don't die.
Right.
I mean, is there anybody else in their position though? Like, I don't see anybody else in the position that Netflix has to where it would die out because of that. Like they're allowed to make this decision because of where they stand.
Right.
But I don't think they have a chokehold on the market like they used to. When they were the streaming, they were like the streaming top
when
of the
they
top,
took Redbox out.
When Netflix was convenient to everybody, they were in that position of power. Now, Netflix and all the streaming services, it's just the same as cable used to be 20 years ago.
Right.
You now have to pay $5 a piece, $10 a piece for 9 different streaming services that you used to just have to pay Netflix for to watch whatever your favorite shows. You know, it came full circle in a negative way. And now Netflix, since they don't have a chokehold on the market anymore, this could be really, really bad for them.
I think this is bad for them because you have other platforms that have movies. The biggest thing about Netflix is they do have really great exclusives. They put a lot of money into that. But how much money can you continue to put in if you start losing people? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you have big streaming platforms that are up against you, and that can take your market.
Paramount all those people that were sharing, they weren't making anything off of them anyways.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it gives people a reason not to go to your platform. Well, why would we pay for Netflix if we both can't use it? Why don't we just go do Paramount, do HBO Max, do Show Plus or whatever, Showtime Now, whatever the app's called, right?
Exactly.
There's 1,000 other tools that also have good movies. You know what I mean? I think that media is at the fingertips for everyone right now, and it's all accessible and across multiple different platforms. And I just like Nick and I were saying, I just don't think they're not in the place they were 5-6 years ago. Right. Everyone's getting a piece of the pie, and it is back to where it was. And it's funny as being someone who works in that industry, seeing how many people pay for regular TV and streaming platforms together. So like they're just paying the same amounts they were before. Like they're like, oh, cut the cord, but then they don't even cut the cord. They keep it because like Hulu TV and YouTube TV honestly kind of suck in my opinion. The whole like live streaming, live TV is not that great, just because of some of the channel makeups. Not to mention when I think of some of those things like YouTube TV, the finals were playing and the Lakers were in game 3 of the finals, I believe, or in the playoffs. And Disney, they lost their deal with ESPN and Disney. So all of YouTube TV's customers simultaneously lost access to the game. So it's like these streaming platforms are so volatile. I feel like they're losing credibility, and now they're making decisions that affect them even more moving forward. So I think it's just a very interesting time period of trying to like going from like the innovation of like, oh, we're going to move to streaming, doing these things. It's like accessible to just being back to square one.
I would say it's the same patterns over and over.
Yeah.
Just new technology.
Right. Yeah.
Digital media is in an interesting spot.
Yeah.
Look, humans are creatures of habit, guys.
It's like we recycle concepts like we recycle movies, you know? You just you're like, oh, you know what? We want a blockbuster movie. Let's just remake the old one, you know?
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, overall, I think that's a good place to end the episode. I think gaming's an interesting spot where people don't want to put money into it. Streaming's an interesting spot where people all want to put money into it. So they're all like battling to see who's going to get the bigger piece of the pie.
Or you can make the argument that people don't because of everybody password sharing.
Right.
Trying to keep the cost as low as possible.
I mean, now we're just gonna get into the economics and the cost of living and shit like that. So that's a whole nother thing.
And now we're gonna talk about if people are being exploited, and we're fully full circle, right? Oh, and speaking of exploitation, AI porn. Oh, damn, we're back.
Right.
No, but in all seriousness, guys, thank you so much for watching episode 18. Please share your thoughts down below if you guys have any thoughts about the topics that we talked about. I think we're going to try to be a little more structured, at least have some big talking points that we want to cover. That way you guys in the comments can share your thoughts or share your opinions, as well as just like including some time.
Or tell us how we're wrong.
And honestly, if we're wrong, please share that. We have no issues.
If you got information we don't, let us know so everyone knows.
If you know where my deepfakes are, let me know.
We have them. We'll drop them down below in the comments. But like I said, guys,
I made them.
Thank you for watching episode 18, and we'll see you in episode 19.
Appreciate you guys.
Take care.
Bye, guys.